I'm not here to motivate you, to inspire, or to inject you with fantasies about this so-called life of happiness. If that's what you expect, leave now. I'm here to deliver something entirely different, something cold and unfiltered. First, let's discuss happiness. What do you think you're chasing? Some abstract notion, some vaporous idea that vanishes the moment you try to grasp it. Happiness is an illusion, a drug designed to keep you moving toward the next fix. You are puppets to your own desires, chasing after some ill-defined joy that, once you think you've reached it, morphs into disappointment. You say you want happiness, but you wouldn't know what to do with it if it were handed to you on a silver platter. And let me tell you this, it's not meant for you. Happiness is an illusion for the weak-minded, those who can't bear to face the raw, cold structure of reality. Happiness, you see, is nothing more than a mirage on a scorching desert horizon. It's bait in a trap that we call life. You're not here to be happy. You're here to survive, to endure, to walk through the fire. And perhaps, if you're lucky, to find some purpose that isn't entirely hollow. But happiness? That's a tool, a trick for those who fear looking deeper into the abyss. Now let's move on to wisdom. And when I say wisdom, I don't mean your simplistic notions of it. I don't mean the things you want to hear. True wisdom is a brutal thing. It strips away your comfort, your illusions, everything you've been led to believe. Wisdom is not about lofty ideals. It's about seeing the world for what it truly is, unforgiving, indifferent, void of inherent meaning. Life does not care about you. Reality does not bend to suit your desires or your ideals. Wisdom is cold. It's calculated, and it doesn't care how it makes you feel. Most people live their lives in ignorance, shielding themselves from uncomfortable truths. They'd rather wrap themselves in layers of delusion than see the truth that lies beneath. But not you. Not if you're here, listening, really listening. If you can learn to look at the world without the filter of your emotions, if you can stand to see things as they are, that's wisdom. Wisdom that strips down, reduces, dismantles until only the bones of reality remain. Wisdom that doesn't seek comfort, but clarity. Wisdom that doesn't seek to save you, but to prepare you. But wisdom alone isn't enough, because even the wise are tormented. Suffering, that's our next topic, and it's a fundamental truth. Suffering is not something to be avoided. It's a part of life's core design. Suffering is intrinsic to existence itself. And yet, what do people do? They run from it, as though it's some defect in the system. They spend their lives in flight, cowering at the first sign of discomfort, of pain. Pathetic, really. Suffering is the price of awareness, of life itself. Do you think you can escape it? That you can avoid the very condition that defines existence? Fools. You'll never be free from suffering. But if you face it, if you embrace it, you will understand a truth few others dare to acknowledge. Suffering is not a punishment. It is a constant. It is the backdrop to everything you do, everything you want, everything you think you love. And when you stop fighting it, when you accept it, then you gain a kind of power. You become something that suffering cannot destroy. You become untouchable. Then there's solitude. Most of you can't even bear to be alone with your own thoughts. You're terrified of silence, of the emptiness that lingers when no one else is around. You'd rather drown in the noise, lose yourself in the company of others, pretend that you're part of some collective. But solitude, true solitude, is freedom. It is a weapon that separates the strong from the weak. The masses cling to each other, searching for validation, for approval, for something, anything that can tell them they're worth something. Disgusting. Real strength, real depth. It's found in isolation. When you strip away all the voices, all the noise, what's left? Just you and the truth. Solitude doesn't make you less. It makes you more. It gives you an edge, a clarity that others lack. In solitude, you find a depth they'll never know because they're too busy seeking out the next distraction, the next voice to fill the silence. But solitude is power. And if you can learn to harness it, you'll never need anyone else. You'll be self-sufficient, and that's worth more than all the approval in the world. Finally, let's address the limits of understanding. You think you know things, don't you? You have your little theories, your beliefs, your ideas about how the world works. But you're wrong. You're wrong about everything. Human understanding is a joke, a cruel twist in the comedy of existence. You will never know everything. You will never understand everything. And here's the kicker. You don't need to. Most of what people believe is useless at best, a distraction at worst. Understanding the limits of your own knowledge, that is true intelligence. Realize this. You're not omnipotent. You're not all-seeing. You're a speck in a vast, indifferent universe, and your understanding of it is laughably small. But once you accept those limits, once you understand that knowledge itself is a double-edged sword, then you can wield it wisely. Not to explain everything, but to recognize what's worth knowing and what's better left untouched. So here's my final point. You're here to endure, to observe, to dissect this twisted experience called life with a scalpel, not a microscope clouded by wishes and ideals. Strip away the illusions, face the suffering, embrace the solitude, accept the limits. There is no happy ending, no grand prize waiting for you, just the truth. And it is harsh, and it is cold. But in that coldness, there is freedom. If you want warmth, go elsewhere. If you want to see things as they are, then stay. But know this path isn't for the faint-hearted. It's for those who can stare into the abyss and not flinch. For those who accept that happiness is a hollow echo, that wisdom is brutal, that suffering is life's relentless companion, that solitude is strength, and that understanding has boundaries you will never cross. So tell me, do you still think you can handle the truth? Or are you just like the rest, clinging to illusions, because reality is too much to bear?